Well, it's week 2 of the LCS with coverage brought to you by you. I am joined right now by Fudge, who is standing in front of this beautiful Cloud9 Kia. Did you drive this here?
I wish I could.
Yeah. Yes.
I do not have a license, unfortunately.
Okay.
I am a gamer, so I do not leave my house.
That's why in the commercial with Mark was in the driver's
Yes.
seat. Okay, this makes sense.
Otherwise, I would have beat him up installing it.
Okay, good. Well, you know, violence is never the answer. All right, so you guys just continued your, I think now 19-game win streak against Dignitas. Did you hear the stat?
I did not know about that.
Yeah, so Kobe did an interview beforehand with the coaches, with Mithy and Anatron, and was like, oh, Mithy, do you think that you could lose? He's like, well, you know, there's no team that we think can't take a game off of us, blah, blah. And then afterwards, Kobe's like, by the way, it's been 18 games that you haven't dropped a game since they were clutch. And Mithy's like, oh, okay, now there's pressure. So yeah, now 19 games supposedly.
Good thing I didn't know that. That would have been more pressure.
Is that a pressure thing for you?
I think it's a little bit of pressure, like just thinking about it.
Yeah.
I think it's good that I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking about the game, so
yes.
That helps.
What do you think of Dig after playing them?
I mean, I agree with Mithy that there isn't a team that can't beat us right now. Like, we definitely make a lot of mistakes still, and we have a lot of problems as a team. And even individually, we make a lot of laning mistakes. So, and I don't really feel like any team this year has a full 5 players that are bad individually. I feel like Rich is pretty good. I think Dove's pretty good. I think XU actually has been playing quite well, and our bot lane seem to think that Tomo and Owls are actually pretty good as well. So we actually didn't think that Dig was bad or anything. Even though obviously in previous iterations maybe they're a little bit weaker. So I went into the game with full focus, and I respect Rich a lot. I think he's pretty good. So I'm glad that we beat them.
In that interview, Mithy hinted that scrims have been going interesting for you guys. Can you maybe elaborate on this a little bit?
I think we definitely have a negative record of scrims this week, and I think even last week, honestly, when we won 2-0, we had a negative record, I'm pretty sure, or it was even or something, but scrims were really bad in terms of game quality. When we go on stage, we rarely die randomly. There's no random deaths. In scrims, it's the most chaotic game, looks like solo queue. And we're not happy about that at all. We're very upset about how scrims went this week.
Yeah.
And we're really trying to fix it. We had a lot of one-on-one talks and meetings yesterday after scrims ended. And I think a lot of it comes down to discipline and how serious you're taking it. I think it's really easy when you just win on stage to not take it as seriously, but it really is more serious because the stage games aren't actually as important as how good we are and how much we improve, because playoffs is actually all that matters. So hopefully we clean that up and make scrims a little bit more useful in terms of practicing different ideas and comps.
How much has the live patch played into all of this for you? Does it create more chaos in scrims? Because I assume that theoretically, live patch stuff is just going to make things weird.
So live patch definitely influences scrims a lot because there's so many different patch changes, there's so many different things that are new that people want to try. The games tend to be extremely chaotic. We don't want to play certain champions that we've already played in stage because we already feel like we're good at them, and we want to play all this other random stuff that we don't really know. So I play a random matchup that I've never played before, and I die level 2, level 3 because I'm trying to push the limits of the matchup. Yeah. And everyone's kind of doing that, especially now. I think Karma became pretty high priority in scrims, and I think it's likely to be very high priority on stage as well this week.
Yeah.
Bot lane matchups have been extremely volatile because Ezreal Karma is completely lane bully, and usually you also pick other fighting champions, and it just turns out to be a complete banger.
Yeah.
So I think live patch definitely influences scrims a lot. It definitely changes your mentality towards scrims because you're trying to learn new stuff every single week.
Yeah.
Or I guess now it's going to be 2 weeks, so next week maybe scrims is going to be a little bit cleaner and a little bit more structured, but yeah, the first week of live patch is pretty rough.
Should fans expect that, where basically we'll see a crazy LCS weekend and then a more stable LCS weekend and then a crazy LCS weekend as we go through the cycle?
I think what's likely is that people find the new OP champ, the new thing that's going to be first picked, and then by second week people have found answers, or people have thought of answers, at least a couple teams, and some teams maybe just feel like they're not good enough at it based off the first week, and then they don't even try to play it by week 2, and they just ban it on red side, ban it on both sides. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it was a more stable second week of like the new patch.
Okay, good to know. You seem like the type of person, I could see you going either way. Either you hate the live patch or you love it. Where am I correct? Are you one of these two things?
No, I'd say I'm more neutral.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm more neutral. I think it's like nice that there's a lot more. I guess you have to be more ready. You have to be more prepared going into live patch. At the same time, I do think the pre-recorded drafts makes it like you actually don't have to prepare as much technically because you get to do your draft and you have 10, 15 minutes to talk to your teammates. Plus, I get to go on stage and 1v1 in the exact matchup I'm playing. So I don't have to understand the exact matchup. I can actually learn it right before I get into the game, at least partly. So I feel like it's kind of weird and like with the pre-recorded draft thing, it makes it a little bit of a strange dynamic that I think might actually hurt LCS teams in the future because we're going to get used to being able to talk for a really long time about what we want to do level 1, how we want to play the game, how we want to play grubs, how we want to play dragons.
So what if you just didn't do that? You don't have to talk about
You will have a competitive disadvantage. Like you would just have a disadvantage in the game if you didn't talk with your team.
Yeah.
Right after.
What if you secured playoffs already? Because like in playoffs, you won't be able to do this, right?
I think it's still a little bit different. Obviously, you're still going to think about it.
Yeah.
Because like you're just naturally going to think about how to play the game, and you have an extra 15 minutes to do so. Like usually you play the draft, you see the comps, and you're playing a stage within a minute. Okay. And now it's 20 minutes, possibly 15 minutes, depending on how long the game before goes. It could be longer than that.
Right.
And I think it changes the dynamic of the game a lot. I feel like cheesing and like innovative champions also are kind of like, funnily enough, live patch is supposed to push that, but I feel like the pre-recorded draft kind of denies that in a way because you're able to play 1v1s. Like if Whippo plays some random champion because he's very like he's like that way, he plays a lot of new champions, I can just 1v1 in that exact matchup. Insanity played Zac mid, and then Jensen immediately 1v1 Whippo, Orianna versus Zac, and then he understood the matchup a little bit better than he would have on the normal
if he just
format.
Suddenly gets locked in and you're like, okay, now we're in game. Yeah.
And also level 1 invades, you get to plan against for 20 minutes now instead of 1 minute, and your coach is there to talk about level 1s and stuff like that. And it's just, I feel like it deters cheeses and like early game plans a little bit more.
Very good. Well, we've talked for a while. I've got to go find XU, but is there anything that you want to say to any of the fans out there?
We are winning on stage, but we are playing terribly in scrims, so we are staying humble. I think none of us really feel like we're actually that good right now, even if we're winning. So we will continue to improve, and we will show even cleaner games than today and last week. Yeah. And I will improve my laning phase. Sorry that I play bad in lane.
Thank you so much for the interview. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things LCS right here on my YouTube channel.
Thank you.
LCS is officially back in action, and you need to get back into action on the Rift. The new Alienware M16R2 is perfect for your 2024 plans. You'll be able to see so much of the new map with a notebook that supports up to an NVIDIA RTX 4070 GPU and brings it to you in vivid colors with a 16-inch QHD Plus 2560 by 1600 screen, packing a 240 Hz refresh rate. Thanks to Alienware for sponsoring this video, and check out the link below.